I'll I always upload them to YouTube so you can get it there.
Okay.
So, okay, so we're connected and we're live now. So I'm Julia Witta and interviewing Eva this morning about her artwork, shamanic artwork. And um, Eva, do you consider your work to be shamanic?
I do. And it was always my intention to be a shaman.
Uh-huh.
And I let my husband know that before we got married. And he said, "Oh, no, no, you can't be a shaman. You'll have to be going out on vision quest all the time. And you'll have to be putting yourself through very um, extreme transformational experiences. And, I just want to have a nice wife who stays home with me. And you have to make a decision. Do you want to be a shaman or my wife?" And I said, "Oh, that's, well, okay, I'll be your wife." But I got to tell you that even though I agreed to that, all the shamanic stuff came into our lives anyway. He is in it with me, and we have a very meaningful and very deep and very lively life.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
so good. I thought, oh no, she chose against what she.
I chose love, and then love meant not just him, but all of life. And so that's the way it has been ever since. And we've been married now for 33 years, and just seems like every day is an adventure.
Cool. Well, I love your work. I just think it's the most magnificent stuff. You've done such a good job on everything I've seen.
Thank you.
And I hope that anybody who's watching will go to our website at shamanicarts.center and check out the gallery at medicinewoman.gallery where Eva has her stuff. How do you say your last name?
I pronounce my name Eva Montealegre, but I answer to anything close. Eva is an international name. So
Okay.
my father-in-law used to call me Eva. I've had friends call me Eve and Eva. My mother called me Eva. And but my name turned into Eva when I was working at USC in the drama division for the chairman, W. Duncan Ross. And he always called me Eva. And
Eva.
that just became my name. But like I said, I answer to anything close.
That's kind of what I do. I correct people because they always say Julie and it's Julia.
Right.
But yeah, I love that, Ava. And I love your work. And tell us more about your work and how well, I just started a podcast, and one of the questions that I would ask you, because they asked it to me, was what's the difference between shamanic artwork and mainstream artwork?
Hmm.
What would you say?
Well, I think that if someone is an extremely prolific, able, and deeply involved artist, they are akin to a shaman, and that they are listening to something that is in the atmosphere, that is part of the environment, and they are responding to that, and they are in relationship with that. Now, I live in a pretty remote area. I live up on top of a mountain. I'm steeped in nature. I live on a 350-acre ranch. I don't own it. I live on the land like a Native American. I think you would call my home a structure, maybe not a house. But I'm very happy here, and it's very beautiful here. I am truly nestled in the bosom of Mother Nature. And that's more typical of a shaman.
Mhm.
But there are urban shamans, and there are people who are sensitive and in touch, who are not necessarily sitting on top of a mountain like. But I make many forays down into the world, and I have lots of relationships with artists and art professionals and other creative people that I'm very close to for many decades, that we've been sharing our life experience and the meaning of our work and how it has affected us and others. We want to be in community. Most shamans, even if they are remote like I am, or living in the woods or in a cave or something like this, have a community that they talk to, belong to, communicate with. And that's part of their role, is to share their wisdom or share the beauty they create or the messages they perceive with others. So to me, that's what shamanic art is. Now there's like lots of political art and there's lots of concept art. But when you are focused and meditating on beauty, you are in a place that is elevated, that is very sensitive, and usually that is also appreciative and grateful. And I would say the overwhelming aspect of my shamanic work is being in a state of awe and wonder
Mm.
at life, at the beauty of life, of how it works. And if you're paying
Sorry,
attention, it's wonderful.
let me turn this off. Sorry, I should have
Oh,
turned
that's
it off
okay.
before.
That's all right.
So, do the images come to you, or do you plan these things, or how does the
Um,
process work?
Many images come to me, and
Uh-huh.
I cannot escape them. And then there was one that I thought about for almost a year before I actually did it, because I was like, well, that is a lovely, lovely idea. And I would really like to execute that, but I have absolutely no idea how to do that. And basically, I just meditated on it for a year, and then I committed it to Canvas, and I did my first, that was called the Luminosity series. And that was a series of figures, mostly women, but there were some men, mostly female figures, but in a state where you could see their light. And sometimes I did portraits of people, and you wouldn't necessarily recognize it like, oh, that's a photograph
Right.
of
No.
Julia. You would go, that seems familiar. And then I'd say, well, do you think it looks like Julia? And they'd go, it's Julia. What I mean? They would,
Yeah.
that it was about something other than just the physical characteristics that I was trying to capture. And, sometimes there might be a gestalt about that person that was in the portrait. And sometimes they weren't actual, many times they were not actual individuals or personalities, but rather a figure that, like, for one was called Bird Lady, but she was also referred to as the Mardi Gras Queen because she had a huge feathered headdress on, and
Wow.
and a very elegant long dress. So people say, "Oh, that looks like it comes from your Mardi Gras, your New Orleans background." And I do have a New Orleans background.
That's all.
I used to spend every summer with my grandmother in New Orleans, and so she had a great influence on me. And she taught me how to sew on one of those treadmill sewing machines,
Yeah.
and we became so proficient. I had the best clothes in school, but also we started to sew for people in the community. And then people would want us to sew their beautiful Mardi Gras party dresses and then costumes. And then eventually we were working on floats. And floats are a really tough thing to work on because you have to make it look good even as it's rolling down the street on those cobblestone bricks in New Orleans, and keep it together and have it look elegant and good. And we did that. And so from a very young age I was creative, and to me creativity equals love, because that's what I had with my grandmother. And
Hmm.
from a very young age I was part of a community, interacting with community in a creative manner. And so it was almost as if I was in training for my shamanic work from a very young age.
As you, yes. You probably picked those parents and grandparents on purpose.
Oh, they were all so fabulous. I'm not saying they didn't have foibles and flaws, which they did, but they were the most fabulous people. My mother was an investigative journalist. She went everywhere and she dragged me everywhere she went with her. And
Uh,
so it was lovely. She wasn't going to let having a baby or a young child stop her from doing her work. So I got to go everywhere. And I would just see my mother, the way she interacted with people and how she asked questions and how she, pursued information and research. And so I just thought that was normal. I thought that's what women did. And until I
that's
was much
great.
older, then I realized, oh, that's because your mom's a researcher and an investigator. She wrote for St. Louis Magazine and the newspapers, and she was a novelist and an award-winning poet. And
Wow.
and then my father was a restaurateur. He took the showboat, the River Queen, was a gambling boat that used to go up and down the
Right.
Mississippi. He turned it into a seafood restaurant and a place to listen to jazz in St. Louis, Missouri. And so I grew up on that steamboat, spending many hours there with my father because it was a very in spot, all the celebrities and politicians and who's who of St. Louis would go there. And then later he opened another restaurant in the same town in St. Louis, but more in the suburbs called the Viking. And that had the best music north of New Orleans because he was from New Orleans. So he imported all the food and all the music from New Orleans. So of course everybody wanted to go and listen to that great music and eat that great food and see that
Yeah.
entertainment. So I kind of grew up in that kind of a
Very
atmosphere.
creative
Yeah.
atmosphere.
And interactive with people and community and that sort of thing.
Wow. That sounds really cool.
It was interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any, is that your piece behind you there on the,
Yes, that's called Fire Serpent.
uh-huh.
Yes, that is an image that has to do with the fire of life. And it's a healing fire. You know, um, my husband and I actually fought the 93 fires here in Malibu, and we watched like 600 houses burn down to the ground. We were able to save our house, but for a long time we were fighting an 80-foot bowl of flame around us with just little garden
Oh
hoses.
my God.
And then the water ran out. So we picked up the rugs that got wet from us fighting the fire and started fighting the fire with wet rugs. And we just barely saved our home.
Oh my
And
goodness.
from 2:30 to 6:30 in the morning, we were having a very intimate experience with fire. And then it was gone. And everything around us was gray ash. There was nothing
Ooh.
There was nothing green except those things right next to our house where we were standing with.
Oh my God, with your hoses. Oh, oh my God. Thank God you sort of saved your house.
Yeah, we have a humble home, but we really didn't want to lose it.
No, and it was full of your paintings, I assume.
And that too.
You don't want to lose
Yeah.
those. Those are some of the most fabulous paintings ever.
Thank you.
I definitely want to
I
see
love
more of them.
them. I love the paintings. I do. I have a love relationship with the canvas. And sometimes it's a very delicate, very sort of precise experience. Like the first time I did the luminosities, because I had been focused on it so intently for a year, I was like almost in an elevated state when I was painting. But other times it's a lot much more physical, tactile experience, and I do use palette knives, so it can get quite physical sometimes. And
Uh-huh.
my husband says, "Oh, are you tango dancing with those canvases again?"
Which you are.
I am.
Tango dancing with those canvases. That's a good one. You
Yeah.
should name one of them Tango Dance.
Oh, yeah, I should. I absolutely should.
Wow. Well, I'm totally impressed, and I would love to see you be on our show again.
I would love to be on your show again.
I'm kind of
Tell me
keeping,
about some more of your activities.
oh yeah. Well, I'm trying to keep these um videos down to about 20 minutes because
Okay, okay,
most
whatever you
people
say.
have no what do you call it? Can't.
Not too long. You don't want to bore them. You always want to leave them wanting more.
That's right. So we're planning on having you several times, okay?
Okay.
Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I do look forward to seeing you again.
Okay.
I hope sometime you'll come to my studio.
Where is it?
It's in right on the border between Topanga and Malibu. It's about 30 miles north of downtown LA if you go up
Oh, maybe I
PCH.
will. We're going to go out there. We are
Oh,
going out there soon,
when is that going to happen?
probably about February.
Ah, that's perfect.
I'll check with you and we'll come up to see what you have.
Okay, it'll be great.
Okay, thank you, Ava.